In a quiet village surrounded by golden fields and whispering winds, there lived a poor barber named Elias. He owned nothing but a pair of rusty scissors, a broken mirror, an old chair under a tree, and two precious possessions, one worn blanket and a thin pillow. Every day Elias shaved and trimmed the villagers' hair, earning just enough to eat a piece of bread and drink a cup of water. When night fell, he would spread his blanket outside a closed school, rest his head on the pillow, and sleep beneath the stars, his only roof. One morning, as the sun was rising, a roar echoed through the valley. A flood was racing toward the village. Panic spread like fire. People screamed, animals cried, and the streets turned into rivers of mud and fear. Elias woke to chaos but did not run. Calmly, he climbed the water tank beside the school, spread his old blanket, leaned his pillow against the wall and lay down, watching as the world below him fought to save its treasures. Men and women rushed through the streets carrying whatever they could. Gold jewelry, cash, animals, furniture, clothes even. Broken things they couldn't bear to lose. One man, breathless and soaked, ran past with his arms full of gold and cloth. Seeing Elias lying peacefully, he shouted angrily, "Have you lost your mind? The whole village is drowning, and you're lying there as if nothing's wrong." Elias looked down at him, smiled softly and said, "My friend, today, you've finally tasted what poverty feels like." The man froze, unable to reply. Elias's calmness was heavier than the flood itself. Years later, when this story was told again, a wise old scholar said, "Perhaps on the day of judgment, the scene will be the same. The wealthy, trembling, sweating, counting the endless deeds of luxury, money, pride, and neglect, and the poor, standing quietly, hearts at peace, owning little but free of burden. Maybe then the poor will look at the rich and whisper gently, 'Today, you've finally tasted what poverty feels like.' Moral true peace is not found in wealth but in contentment. The poor may sleep on the ground, yet their hearts rest closer to heaven. Gratefulness is the key that unlocks eternal comfort. In a small, forgotten village, nestled between silver mountains and whispering pines, lived a boy named Daniel. His shirt was torn, his shoes were worn thin, and his hands were always stained with ink and dust. But in his eyes, oh those eyes, burned the fire of dreams too wild for his world to understand. Every morning Daniel carried water from the river that curled like a ribbon through the valley. He would stop halfway, tilt his head toward the endless blue and whisper, "Someday this sky will belong to me." The villagers laughed. "Dreams don't fill stomachs," they said. "You were born poor and that's all you'll ever be." But Daniel didn't stop dreaming. When others slept, he sat under a flickering street lamp, reading torn pages from books he found in the trash. His mentor, Mr. Allen, an old retired teacher, often found him there and said, "Daniel, remember, light is born from struggle. Don't ever be ashamed of your hunger for more." Then, one harsh winter, the village was swallowed by darkness. The power lines broke and the cold bit through the walls. People cursed their fate and huddled in silence. But Daniel, he refused to surrender. He began scavenging the junkyards. Broken wires, batteries, rusted metal. Every night his small hut echoed with the hum of effort, the spark of hope. The villagers mocked him again. "The crazy boy thinks he's a scientist now." And then, one night when the wind howled like a beast, a soft golden glow spilled from Daniel's window. One by one, the lamps in the village began to flicker on, connected to the generator Daniel had built with his own hands. People rushed out in wonder. For the first time in months, their homes were filled with light. And in that glow stood Daniel, smiling quietly, his face shining brighter than the bulbs he had brought to life. "I only wanted to chase away the darkness," he said, "first from my heart and then from yours." From that night on, no one called him poor again. They called him Daniel, the boy who made the sky his own. Moral: never let the world convince you that your dreams are too big. Even in darkness, a single spark of faith can turn into the light that guides everyone home.